So last week I took one of my daily podcast episodes, turned it into a 1-minute video, and it absolutely blew up with millions of views. The original episode was a long-form dive into Apple's ridiculously obsessive packaging and the genius marketing baked right into the box. After recording, I chopped the transcript, made an ASMR-style unboxing cut with my voiceover, and posted it as a short clip. Honestly, that little snippet did way better than the full hour-long episode, which is why I want to walk you through the trick I keep using. I'm not giving you a lecture today. Think of this as a buddy sharing a secret weapon for turning long content into snacks people actually want to consume. I'll be totally straight about the tools I use, what totally sucks about the others, and why something like Vizard is seriously changing the game for creators like us. The original podcast covered Steve Jobs' insane attention to detail, making boxes feel like high-end jewelry with perfect edges and tiny reveals. Most CEOs see that level of detail as wasteful, but Jobs knew the box was the absolute first moment of truth for the customer experience. That's a killer line for a long episode, but it becomes an absolutely killer 1-second clip when you push it to the front of a short video. I grabbed that specific hook, something like, Apple spent millions designing boxes you'll throw away, and built a compelling minute-long story around it. That combination of a negative hook, a familiar brand, and immediate curiosity is a guaranteed formula for stopping the scroll. The core idea is that long-form audio or video has incredible nuggets of gold buried deep inside of it. If you can find that perfect hook hiding somewhere in the middle of a 30-minute episode, you can move it right to the top of your 60-second clip. Then you just stitch in a few key supporting lines to quickly construct a powerful mini-story that makes sense. The trick here is definitely not recreating the whole original piece from scratch, which takes forever. You need to pull the strongest emotional beats, reorder them for maximum immediate impact, and then simply cut out the rest of the fluff. That sounds obvious, but the reality is most people skip this because editing is just so tedious, or they use tools that make the process truly clunky. I used to edit everything manually in the timeline, years of film school training me to think in tracks and cuts for every single thing. Then I discovered transcript-first workflows, where you can literally read, highlight, and then just reorder the text blocks. That's where the real magic begins, because you can scan the text and find those viral moments so much faster than scrubbing through hours of footage. But here is the major catch. Some of these text tools only solve about half the actual problem for creators. They give you the text, sure, but they usually don't help you identify the viral moments or effectively schedule them out across your platforms. That's exactly why I started relying on a tool that actually automates the most heavy lifting parts of the process for you. This kind of system finds the viral clips, turns them into fully ready-to-post content, and helps you publish without constantly jumping back into a messy timeline editor. Now, I want to be clear that not every single AI tool out there is genuinely great. Many definitely overpromise and then sadly underdeliver. I've dealt with sloppy clip selection, awkward transitions that kill the flow, and voice fixes that sound more robotic than the original recording. Some solutions are expensive, only do that one thing like cutting well, and then you still need 3 other subscriptions for scheduling and asset management. Other tools just spit out clips that feel completely generic, often completely missing the crucial pacing or the intended tone of your original content. This is precisely where a platform like Vizard really manages to stand out for creators who are serious about growth. It nails the 3 essential things we actually need. It automatically spots those high-potential viral moments, it helps manage the posting calendar, and it can auto-schedule everything so we stop babysitting the uploads. So let me break down exactly how I built that specific Apple packaging short and where Vizard jumped in to help me execute it. Step 1 is finding the absolute best hook inside the transcript, skimming until you land on a line guaranteed to stop someone scrolling. Negative hooks that create immediate tension or surprise almost always work incredibly well to grab attention fast. If you are not a natural headline writer, seriously consider hiring a freelance copywriter for $20 to $50 to scan the text and pull 5 to 10 potential hooks. That small investment is often more than worth it because it front-loads the success for your entire short-form strategy. Next, step 2 is building out the supporting 1-minute narrative by pulling just 4 to 6 lines that directly back up your initial hook. You need to reorder those supporting points so the hook hits first, followed by the necessary explanation, and then you finish with the strong payoff. A crucial note here is that you should never feel married to the original chronological order of the podcast recording. Most podcasts are chronological, but short-form content absolutely demands punchy, non-linear editing for maximum effect. Step 3 is making the final product audiovisual, which for that Apple clip meant putting the unboxing B-roll on top and my podcast video underneath. Sometimes I pull general B-roll from stock libraries, and sometimes I use existing clips of the actual product, whatever helps viewer retention the most. If you genuinely don't have fantastic footage available, do not panic, because content quality often loses to subject matter relevance. I once made a viral explainer about a bank collapse using grainy footage shot on an old iPhone 8 selfie cam, but the idea was trending and the explanation was clean. Remember, the actual idea or the subject matter is king. Polish is helpful, but the core concept is ultimately what wins over the audience. Step 4 involves adding captions, which are absolutely non-negotiable if you want decent watch time on any social platform. A huge percentage of viewers are scrolling with the sound completely off, so you must serve the text overlay. You also need to tighten the clip itself by removing any filler words, shortening awkward pauses, and smoothing out the audio edits. Some editing tools truly butcher the voice regeneration, making the audio sound synthetic and completely artificial, which is a huge turnoff. Vizard's approach, however, manages to keep the speaker's original tone completely intact, while still smoothing over all those tricky transitions. Finally, step 5 is to post it correctly because platforms actually hate when you use sketchy, poorly automated posting methods. Meta, for example, can suppress the reach on Reels if you auto-post through some of those questionable third-party services you find online. TikTok and YouTube Shorts sometimes reward manual posting with better initial traction, but automation is a massive lifesaver once you establish a consistent calendar. Vizard's scheduling feature lets you define your frequency and cadence, and it handles the posting windows so you don't have to think about it daily. This entire workflow absolutely beats just randomly posting 60-second clips whenever you happen to remember one from your long podcast. First, you are not blindly guessing which line will be the hook, because the transcript makes the strongest candidates totally visible. Second, you are reusing your content incredibly efficiently, meaning one single episode can realistically become 10 to 20 short clips. Third, you don't need insanely expensive gear or those countless hours spent laboring inside a complex timeline editor anymore. And fourth, you can even afford to outsource the creative assembly cheaply because good freelance copywriters are surprisingly affordable these days. Here are a few more practical lessons I learned the hard way about what really makes these shorts resonate with people. Negative hooks convert attention into curiosity, but you must always follow up quickly by delivering real, positive value to the viewer. If your podcast host has a great on-mic presence, reading directly from a viral text script can actually outperform the original text post by a significant margin. Don't get too dogmatic about perfect video quality. Relevance, absolute clarity, and good pacing matter much more than cinematic production. If you have archive footage or sound bites, feel free to mash up podcast video, stock B-roll, and old product shots into one powerful short. When comparing tools, Descript brilliantly changed editing by letting us edit via text instead of a clunky timeline, which is great for cleanup. However, Descript still leaves a ton of manual work on your plate. You still have to research the hooks and manually schedule everything yourself. Other AI cutters will generate dozens of tiny clips from a long video, but they often can't tell you which specific clips have genuine viral potential. And then there are the massive enterprise platforms, which are always too expensive and bloated for the average independent creator to justify. Vizard hits this perfect sweet spot by finding the strong moments for you, organizing them into a calendar, and then allowing for true auto-scheduling. This drastically reduces all the friction, letting you produce a handful of shorts to test hooks instead of spending hours on just one polished piece. When you find that winning hook format, the integrated calendar helps you quickly double down on that success across all your platforms. Going back to outsourcing, seriously, do not overlook cheap copywriters if you struggle with creating magnetic headlines for your content. You just need someone who understands social hooks, not a $500 agency retainer to review your transcript. Tell them, give me 5 one-minute scripts, each starting with a completely distinct scroll-stopping hook, and you'll get options fast. One of my biggest hits was explaining a complex bank collapse using a super simple analogy involving a big tree and some bananas. It was timely, incredibly easy to understand, and I made sure the captions were crisp, and that's really all it took. We are currently in this awesome but weird time where creators who master repurposing long-form content have a huge competitive advantage right now. If you have a podcast or a long lecture series, you need to start treating those recordings like your personal goldmine for all short-form material. Use those transcripts to surface the hooks, hire cheap writing help when necessary, and lean into automation for discovery and scheduling. Vizard doesn't replace your creative judgment. What it actually does is amplify that judgment tenfold across your publishing output. Other tools give you raw text or random cuts, but Vizard bridges the gap between having content and running a consistent posting machine. It finds the viral parts, packages them up neatly, and gets them out on schedule without any of the usual back and forth friction. That's why, after turning just one episode into a single clip, I could scale that winning idea and capture millions of views without becoming a full-time editor. If you have a podcast lying around, just try this. Export a transcript, ask for 5 killer hooks, and test posting those clips manually first. Once you see which hook style actually sticks with your audience, switch over to the automation for maximum consistency and time saving. You will be genuinely surprised how often a well-written script, timed perfectly, is enough to get people to watch, even if your camera quality looks ancient. So that is my hot take. Turn long into short, use transcripts to find your hooks, use smart AI for the heavy lifting, and automate the distribution pipeline. If you do that, you will start turning the same single episode into dozens of posts that actually move the needle for your brand. This happens to be episode 492 of my Daily Creator podcast, and I share tricks like this every single day to help you optimize your output. I'll be covering things like how to brief a copywriter next and the best posting windows that actually work in the current algorithm. Seriously, let me know if you try this system out because I truly want to see people take one big idea and build a consistent stream of shorts from it. Alright, I'm done for the day and off to edit the next episode. I'll catch you all in the next video tomorrow.